What is true wealth? Well, popular culture tells us it's all about money and possessions, but deep down we know that's not true. So, what does create a fulfilling life? Well, stay tuned. I'll talk with one of the top leadership and personal mastery experts in the world, Robin Sharma. We'll talk about the wealth money can't buy, the 8 hidden habits to live your richest life. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and this is Some Books Considered. Robin Sharma is a globally respected humanitarian who for over a quarter of a century has been devoted to helping human beings realize their native gifts. His #1 international bestsellers include The 5 a.m. Club, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and The Leader Who Had No Title. He joins us to talk about the wealth money can't buy. Robin, welcome to Some Books Considered.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's great to be with you.
In the introduction to this book, you talk about the reason why you wanted to write the book. So tell us about that.
Sure. We live in a world where we have been programmed in so many ways to believe that wealth is about how much money you have and the size of your stock portfolio and the material objects in your home. And I wrote The Wealth Money Can't Buy because there are 7 other forms of wealth aside from money. And so this trap of chasing more is making a lot of people unhealthy and feeling like they're not enough when they actually have a lot of riches right outside of them that they might not even be paying attention to.
So before we talk about some specifics from the book, give us an overview and a little bit about how you came up with these different areas you wanted to spotlight in the book.
Absolutely. The book is based on a methodology, a philosophical framework, or just a mental learning model that I've used with my clients over the past 15 years. I've been mentoring billionaires and sports superstars and entertainment icons and movement makers. And they were struggling. They had a lot of money. They had a lot of what I call FFA, fame, fortune, and applause. But they lacked JPF, joy, peace, and freedom. And so I created this model of the 8 forms of wealth. Money is is indeed one of the forms of wealth, to walk them through what I believe is an ideal way to live. And of course, this model isn't ideal, but the results that they experienced were absolutely sustainable and transformational and very powerful.
So tell us about those 8 areas.
Sure. First form of wealth is your growth. Growth. Human growth. If you are a human being who is getting to know more of your gifts and your talents, if you are a human being who is reclaiming more of your power and doing difficult things, if you're a human being who is reading and becoming wiser and becoming braver and more loving, even if you're doing it a little bit every day, you have a form of riches and you're a rich person, because Abraham Maslow had that wonderful hierarchy of human needs. And at the top of it was self-actualization. And it's the greatest need we all have to get to know all we truly are. The second form of wealth is wellness. Someone once said to me at a live event, health is the crown on the well person's head that only the ill person can see. So if we have good health, we have a form of wealth worth celebrating. And should we ever lose our health, we'll spend all of our time trying to get it back. Third form of wealth, family. Family. If you have a rich family life, you're a very rich person indeed. There's one chapter in The Wealth Money Can't Buy where I was invited on an engagement. I went to this very successful person's home, walked by his art collection, walked by his card collection, walked by all these material things. And there he was in this subterranean office, smoking this big cigar. We had a long conversation, and it turned out he has all these things, but he's all alone. And so what's the point of material or worldly success without peace of mind and happiness? Fourth form of wealth is your craft. I'll move quickly, but the fourth form of wealth is your craft. If you do your work, no matter what your work is, with nobility and honor and joy, and not at the pursuit of mastery, you get psychic riches that make you feel better than all the money in the bank. Number 6 is community. 7 is adventure. We are nomadic. We need adventure in our lives and not to lose the sparkle in our eyes. And the 8th is service. When we find a cause that's larger than ourselves, we start to receive riches that money can't buy.
One of the things you point out in the book is that we're bombarded with information and attempts to grab our attention all the time. And for us to really function well as human beings, we need to seek out solitude. That solitude is very important to our overall well-being and finding that wealth, as your title says, money can't buy.
Absolutely. There's one chapter in the book that says, go ghost for a year. And it's a playful chapter, but the idea is whether it's a year, whether it's a week, get away from the world. Go out into the wilderness, so to speak. An addiction to distraction is the death of our creative production. So we are in the world, but find time to be alone. This so we can hear the signal. And all too many of us, even when we're alone, Dan, we pull out our phones, we turn on music, we watch violent or toxic TV shows. And so a lot of us don't like ourselves very much. And there's a lot of tools in the book like MVP, meditation, visualization, and prayer, or the importance of keeping a genius journal, or the value of detoxing your social network and releasing the energy vampires who are bringing you down. Those kinds of things start to allow you to be more comfortable in your own skin. I mean, if you look at the great geniuses, a great genius loves and adores solitude. So to be alone, even for an hour every day, to think, to refuel your well of creativity, to ponder the values you want to live by, so you don't spend your best hours climbing a mountain only to realize at the end of a year you've climbed the wrong ones. Solitude is so very powerful.
The big takeaway I got from this book was about what is a fulfilling life. And society, as you mentioned at the top of the interview, is constantly bombarding us with messages that we need to make money and we need to have lots of possessions. But deep down, we know that's not true because that's not really fulfilling. And you give a lot of insight in this book about things that truly are fulfilling in our lives. And another one that I really liked, because it's something that everyone can take advantage of, and that's just being in nature and appreciating the world, the natural world that brings you a sense of fulfillment and peace that money and possessions alone can't.
Yeah, so you've really zeroed in on what the book is about, and I think it is, as simple as it sounds, a deeply rich life. A deeply rich life. And we have this programming, this cultural hypnosis. We pedestal the billionaire, but we don't celebrate the gardener or the teacher or the ski instructor or the coder who is maybe not famous, maybe not financially rich, but here's the key. They're rich of heart. They're rich of happiness. I have mentored over 15 years so many super rich people in the many billions of dollars. And I will tell you from personal experience, they are cash rich and their life poor. And so I want to be clear, the 8 forms of wealth model that the book is based around, money is one of those forms of wealth. We need to have money to put food on the family table, put the kids in school, pay our bills. No question. It's one of the 8 forms of wealth. Having said that, a lot of us are on the proverbial hamster wheel, following the crowd, chasing making more money, hustle and grinding, accumulating more things that we don't even like that we have to put in storage because we're thinking this is how we will become successful and find happiness. But when we get the new car or the new watch or the new whatever it is, we feel, and the psychological phenomenon is called hedonic adaptation. We adapt to the thing we always wanted, and then we return to our baseline level of happiness. And Jim Carrey, the Hollywood icon, said it well. He said, I wish everyone could be rich and famous to realize it won't make a difference. And so the wealth money can't buy is a much more grounded and real way to see success with those 8 forms of wealth, including personal growth, family, craft, wellness, adventure, and even service. when we lose ourselves, I think it was Gandhi or Mother Teresa, when we lose ourselves in service of others, we find ourselves.
One of the stories you relate in the book is about that ski instructor and how he commented, I don't make a lot of money, but look what I get to do every day. I get to ski, I get to be in nature, I get to drink this all in. And that is something money can't buy.
I would actually say he just might be the happiest person I've ever met. He's in the mountains, turning people on to skiing, has a wife who adores him, cooks on a barbecue every night. I know you're from Texas before you moved. I think you might be in Kansas now, but Texas, the land of the barbecue. And he just was so happy. He actually radiated happiness. And that is, that's a great example of the wealth money can't buy. He didn't need a lot of money. He was full of joy. I mean, I guess the interesting thing is too many people are chasing having more money, thinking that it's going to give them this proverbial or metaphorical pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but it just leads to disappointment. So I think things like rich relationships, a strong family life, doing work that makes you feel like you're painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Even in the book, there's so much about taking risks and overcoming your fears and injecting adventure back into your life in this world where, one of the methods that I talked about in the book is every 3 months, give yourself some kind of a project that will scare you. And society says, don't do the things that frighten you. I would actually say lean into the things that frighten you because there your growth lives. So every 3 years, give yourself some project. Maybe it's a new language. Maybe it's a new upgrading your love life. Maybe it's running a marathon, but something that will shake you out of the comfort zone, because the discomfort of growth is always less dangerous than the illusion of safety.
Another thing you point out in the book is that we need to cherish the moments, but not only just cherish those moments, but create those moments in our life.
That comes from the chapter called Be a Perfect Moment Creator. It's based on a story of Eugene Kelly. He was the worldwide CEO of KPMG, the accounting giant. And he went to his doctor's office, and the doctor came out with a look you never want to see on your doctor's face when you go in for the results of medical. And true story, of course, he was given 90 days left to live. And he realized, confronted with his mortality, that he had never taken his wife to lunch in all those years. He was a corporate titan. He had never spent time with his daughter at Christmas concert. He had never gone to Central Park and walked with his friends. So he decided to use the same business tactics he used in growing KPMG to restructure his life for his last 90 days. And sadly, he died around 90 days later. And but I wrote about his story in the book because the point I offer is, be a perfect moment creator. Ask yourself that simple question. Today at dinner with my family, what can I do to make a perfect moment for them that they'll always cherish? At a meeting at work, rather than just going in and being all about mundanity, what can I do today to just create some perfect moments in that next meeting that inject innovation or joy or curiosity? But being a perfect moment creator and having that mindset as you go through life is a great way to find more happiness and fulfillment.
Another thing that seems simple, but as you point out, can be really effective and meaningful to other people is, in this age of email and text and all of that, to actually make a handwritten note and send to someone.
Yeah, so in the Wealth Money Can't Buy, there's a lot of tools to help people break free of digital distraction to do beautiful work, for example, and live a happier life. And one of those things is take a digital Sabbath, like once a week, 24 hours, no phone. So powerful, once a week. But secondly, as you're suggesting, I think You're really talking, Dan, about the power of humanity, a handwritten thank you note in this world of digitization. I'm here in a hotel. I'm in Los Angeles. And often in hotels, they still have handwriting paper and an envelope. And often I will write a letter to my partner, Al, thanking her, or my parents who are in their 80s, or a mentor who may have served me, or a publisher I'm working with. And inevitably they say, no one does that anymore, and it was so meaningful. And I think the larger point is giving gifts. And not because you want an expectation of reward. Here's, I think, a key point. Giving a gift expecting a return is a trade, not a gift. So whether it's a handwritten thank you note, whether it's you're at a hotel and you buy a second cup of coffee and give it to the doorman, whether you're in a restaurant and you have a glass of, I like doing this one, I have a glass of wine and then I'll give the rest of the bottle to the kitchen in appreciation. But just going through life trying to see the best in people and make people feel seen, and hearing people's stories, like the stories people have are incredible. I mean, we're in an age of, you know this so well, but we're in an age of polycrisis. We're in an age of incredible divisiveness. But there is a wealth money can't buy. And that's remembering that we're all brothers and sisters on a small planet and connecting with people. And it's a great gift to give other people, but you start to feel, as you know, you start to feel so good when you feel connected and you're doing good things for people.
The book is The Wealth Money Can't Buy, The 8 Hidden Habits to Live Your Richest Life by Robin Sharma. Robin, thank you for talking with me today.
Dan, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show.
If you'd like to purchase The Wealth Money Can't Buy, I've placed a link for you in the description below. And if you'd like to see more videos about books and their authors on a wide variety of topics, be sure to subscribe, like, and click on the bell to be notified about future programs. I'm Dan Skinner. Thank you for watching this edition of Some Books Considered.